Reporting for Newsreel, I'm Dr. Anthony Harper to talk about my special experience at the White House in the James Brady press room during the time of U.S. troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. Press Secretary Jennifer Psaki was there. Biden's National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was there to take questions from reporters. And so I was allowed to ask Jake Sullivan a very challenging group of questions regarding the issue of U.S. abandonment, not only of Afghanistan, but how this impacts Israel, their concerns about being abandoned, or Taiwan. So I'm going to be showing a video now of being called on and asking these very challenging questions in the middle of this crisis of the U.S. troop withdrawal from Afghanistan and all that Afghanistan people are going through. And by the way, there's an Afghanistan woman journalist there at the White House. Her name is Nazira Karimi. I have had several interviews with her. You can see on our YouTube channel, Intermountain Christian News. So let me play this video now of my encounter in the press room with Jake Sullivan, where you could hear his responses. Yeah, what is President Biden's response to the people of Afghanistan who are now in the hands of the Taliban terrorists and feel abandoned by the United States, or to those in Taiwan and elsewhere that are fearful that the U.S. will abandon them to the aggression of China? And follow-up to that is, what is President Biden's response to people in Israel and other countries who might also believe that the U.S. will abandon them to terrorists?
So to the first question, President Biden and all of us, as I said in my opening comments, are heartbroken by the human consequences that have unfolded and could continue to unfold in Afghanistan. We believe passionately in human rights and human dignity, and we want to work with the international community to advance that wherever we can. But President Biden was not prepared to have American men and women continue to fight and die in the civil war of another country in order to achieve that. We will use every other tool at our disposal to achieve that, and we will do so day after day, month after month in the period ahead on behalf of the people of Afghanistan. To your question about allies, we gave 20 years of American blood, treasure, sweat, and tears in Afghanistan. We gave them every capacity in terms of training and equipment to stand up and fight for themselves. And at some point, it was the time for the United States to say that the Afghan people had to stand up for themselves. We believe that our commitments to our allies and partners are sacrosanct and always have been. We believe our commitment to Taiwan and to Israel remains as strong as it's ever been. Keep in mind that with respect to Afghanistan, we said back in 2011 that we would be out in 2014. We stayed another 7 years, far and above and beyond the commitment that we made more than a decade ago. And the last thing that I would say is that President Biden is laser focused on accomplishing the core national security objectives of the United States. And when it comes to Afghanistan, that was getting bin Laden and degrading al-Qaeda. We accomplished that, and he believes it was time for our troops to come home.
First of all, it was a nice discussion. Actually, not nice, very tragic. I'm from Afghanistan. Everybody know. I don't have anything to say. Everybody know that. Thousands of people, 14,000 people around of the airport, outside the airport. No food, no shelter. I know. Every single time I get like 20, 30 phone call, contact, everybody's crying, especially women, men. I know it's difficult for the United States too. Just as a woman, as a kind woman, that Afghan people really trust you. They love you so much, and they have expectation that the United States never leave them alone. But it happened. It happened. Just what's your message? Do you have any message, positive message? Because women under a lot of emotionally bad situations like that. Just I need your message to them.
First, let me say that watching these scenes is incredibly heartbreaking and tragic. And, I have been to Afghanistan a number of times, and I've met a lot of these women you're talking about. The president has been there a number of times, has met these incredibly brave and courageous women. And I will tell you that I'm sure that part of the conversation the president will have with his partners and will continue to have with the United Nations is how we can continue to provide assistance, continue to stand up for these women and their rights in Afghanistan. So I don't want them to feel they have been forgotten. They have not. And we will keep them in our hearts. And thank you for your question. Go ahead.
Thank you. Reporting for the Intermountain Christian News, I'm Dr. Anthony Harper here at the White House. So serious issues to deal with in light of what's going on in Afghanistan, especially with regard to the safe passage of American citizens getting to America or other countries safely. The video that you just saw of my questions to Jake Sullivan were really intense experiences